can touch my heart. Yeah, God's word is so big and so wide, and we are so happy that we will go with the word, our mother tongue language, to present it to our people. People will give their life to the Lord when they hear their own mother tongue language, the word of God present to them. Even those who didn't know to speak English, through pictures and hearing, I believe they will receive their Lord.
Lori Jenkins, and I am the MAST area coordinator for the Pacific region. For the MAST program, expectations for facilitator would be they're going to come in and their job is not just to teach, but to train the translators how to do the process, how to essentially take over the role of the facilitator and be able to do this on their own without the help of the expats when we leave. A typical MAST process would start out as having worship every morning. It's a time of devotion, focusing ourselves, our minds, our hearts on God, because it's not our project, it's not the translator's project, it's God's project.
The MAST process consists of 8 simple steps developed to accelerate the process of drafting and checking Bible translation. The first step is reading. Translators will read the entire story or chapter so they familiarize themselves with the broad picture of what is being said, as well as begin to process some of the phrasing and main story ideas. The second step is a group discussion. In your own language, there are many different ways to say the same thing. This is an opportunity for translators to share their ideas and phrase selections with their peers, recognizing key terms and then make smart choices that capture what is said in a concise and thorough way. Next is chunking. This is where the translator will break down the actual translation into pieces and phrases that make sense in their language, being sure to capture the essence of the story without missing any of the key points. What a translator will look for are the beginnings and endings of sentences, as well as moments to pause that make sense in their language. The fourth step is the blind draft. This is when the translator will now take those chunks, and depending on whether this is an oral or written MAST, the translator will record or write that chunk in their own language blindly. The key element of the step is for the translator to not be looking at the written word, but rather remember the chunk to ensure the translation will sound natural in their own language. Once the translator has finished the chunk, or in some cases the entire story, they can then move on to step 6, which is the peer edit. This is where the translator will share their oral or written translation with their team. The key elements peers should be looking for are grammar mistakes, awkward phrasing, and anything the language group feels they can add or remove to make the translation more accurate in their language. If the team can agree and accepts the translation, they can move on to the final step, which is the facilitator check. This is where the facilitators perform a back translation from the target language to the source text. By doing this, facilitators and translators ensure that the translation not only has a natural flow, but also is incredibly accurate, capturing all the elements of the source text.
One of the greatest challenges is the traditional way of translation where it's word to word, which doesn't result in a natural translation at all, and sometimes it doesn't end up being accurate because it isn't words that are used much. The translators are flexible enough and they see the strength and the advantage of doing it idea by idea, sort of loosening up from the direct equality of English to vernacular.
I think the MAST way is faster because we tend to get the meaning of the stories and then write them down. But with the word-to-word translation, it's quite hard.
We know what the word is God, what the word of God is all about in our mother tongue language. So we are happy for the scripture translation.
And I believe this, after this course, it will be a great impact and great change to our own people, which they can read and understand our mother tongue language in the Word of God.
It has been a lot of work, and it's a lot of fun.
Cheering them on and helping them out and helping them meet their goal and knowing that this is going back to their people.
I can't think of anything besides translating the Word of God that has such an eternal significance.